Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be back, and thank you everyone for being here, and Nicole, of course. Um, Last time I was here, this is 15 minutes, right? Is that correct?
Uh, it is actually 20 to
Okay.
25, somewhere in that ballpark.
Okay. Great. Great. I just set a clock running, so I'll stay within that. Um, the last time I read, I think I only read one piece. I read Cassandra, which I just really like it, so I read it. But I think I'm going to do something different. I'll read a bunch of individual poems, shorter poems this time. I want to start off with one which goes with the cover of my book, which I'm going to put that up behind me also. This is a picture that's titled The Great Migration. And the image goes with a haiku. Um, Bright night sky, great migration, streets on fire. And the name of the piece is That Familiar Comfort. That familiar comfort. The river at Port Chicago was pink in the dawn glare, strangely like that night they fled for their lives. Biplane spotlit by burning buildings, kerosene bombs bursting on the roofs, clubs and rifles, white boys and their fathers, beasts hunting little Africa for black runners. Do you know this story? The Tulsa pogrom of 1921, 6,000 black people jailed, no whites, the Greenwood ghetto burned to the ground, no insurance ever paid, no crime ever charged, the dead uncounted. I never knew it till today. I bear that shame, small price for my privilege. From this day I forswear that familiar comfort, the cowardice of forgetting. This is a Pittsburgh poem. Our dead are different from yours. 30 years ago, construction halted on I-279. Down from Penn Brewery and North Catholic, bones were found where Veckley Church had stood. 727 dead were sifted from the earth and cataloged, while backhoes, pavers, politicians, and lawyers stood by. The Veckley remains were separated for burial and laid with a single marker. Present were scientists, reporters, and Dorothy Davies, baptized at Veckley Church 80 years before. No living relative was ever found, but the Veckley dead were on protected ground and respected. Last fall, the Standing Rock Sioux found sacred ground on the Dakota Access Pipeline path. Now their dead lie pulverized beneath an easement and 30-inch pipe cradled in cement. That's our dead are different from yours. This is a chapbook that just came out in, I think, January, I think. There are 3 folios in here. the first folio is about my work in the 70s when I built satellites and rockets. I'll read a couple from that, some short ones. The second folio is called The Big Lie. It's 4 pieces, and this is the first piece. And what you see behind me is the signature page of the United States Constitution. In the beginning, there are no slaves. Anyone that sets foot here becomes free. Men and women are equal before the law. Article 19, Pinochet's Constitution. Our fathers conceived America in war and a sweet promise. All men are equal. 11 years later, at full term, with a quill dipped in iron gall ink, they aborted their oath to the majority, to enslaved people, the indigenous, and the unmale. Even Chile's tyrant did better. That's in the beginning. I'm going to read the closing poem in this book. Also entitled In the Beginning. Lot's wife died nameless, not because she looked back, but for remembering. In a sweet vision, I live naked, small trees wide spaced, warm shade rich with apricots, a white beach in view, gentle surf, a dark squall rushing across the water, a walled colossus to the south, massive piers, men of all shades at labor, oars and sails, slanted ships, long and low, bilge and shackles, Babel, the towers at city center in flames, smoke and harbor stench, billowing silver in the sun. I have always longed to live simply in an orchard, figs and cedar, olives and almonds, ladders and baskets, gloves and fresh bread, each day time stretching to the evening cool. So many remember their past lives as princes. Like them, I long for Eden, where tyranny and forgetting were new. That's in the beginning. This is from the first folio, which is entitled When Danger is Past. Alternate universe. We built rocket payloads for the vacuum of space, immaculate. Our test systems were just as clean, spark welded, stainless plumbing, scrubbed with solvents, blasted with dry nitrogen, then pumped down and baked red hot. I apprenticed with Jim Murphy, an old man, a widower like I am now. He often spoke of his life in the church since her passing, stained glass window repairs, broken sewer pipes, how his watch ran backwards that time he went with another woman. That's alternate universe. I think I'll just read a fragment from the last piece in this section. It's titled, We Could Have Been Better. And there's an epigraph. 1 in 1,000 Black men in America can expect to be killed by police. Edwards et al., Proceedings of the National Academy of Science, 2019. I woke to the governor's stay-at-home order, drove the turnpike anyway. Each cop we passed, and there were many, I thought of my white Subaru and my skin like 1,000 times before. And that little piece was nominated for a push card. So nice, it's just a little one, but it the people who published it really liked it. Coming in off the farm, at first light, Lil shook each sunflower stalk and looked up to urge each drooping head, wake up. I turned a dough bowl for her, cut wide from a barn timber. It flew apart as I sanded it smooth, scarred me and broke my jaw. One weekend, David and Phyllis threw an MDA party. He said it was great for sex. I might have been into it, but I was still sore, and I never liked speedy drugs. Lil did, though. I went out front to chop wood while people showed up. As each arrived, I flashed my wired mouth and rasped, "Who are you?" Late that night, David had a seizure. He came out of it, took some pills with whiskey, went back to bed. That fall, the owner bulldozed the barn and sold the house. After they cut the sewer line, we kept using the toilet. Feral dogs got all the chickens. Briarwood Mall went up across the street. Lil and I moved into town. Soon after, she told me, "The neighbors are talking about us." I reasoned with her, then argued, but she became silent and filled our home with folded grocery bags so I could no longer touch or even find her. That's coming in off the farm. All right. I think I'm going to read one sort of longish piece, which I think you'll like it. And then I'll close with a short piece, which is called Our Shared Humanities. It's a very unusual one. This one is unusual too. This appeared in the 50th anniversary issue of the Seneca Review. Invisible for Susie. Leftovers went to Rick, the human garbage can. He sat at the foot of the table, Dad at the head, Mom and Susie, Kathy and me. Mom served each of us cold milk, boiled lima beans, burgers, tasteless and tough. Dad talked and Mom argued, sometimes Rick too. Dad drilled Kathy and me, arithmetic with 3-digit numbers. He quizzed us too when he showed us to his friends. One time I stumbled. After that, he used numbers I knew. Another time I didn't answer. After that, the quizzes stopped. When I took out the garbage, I searched the darkness for snakes, then brushed off the sand and picked the stickers out of my toes. Those same nights I washed the dishes with bar soap and burning hot water. Mom always washed them again. When Father Knows Best was on, I slipped into the kitchen, made jelly sandwiches for school, and ate anything else I could find. Mom and Dad are gone now, Susie too. I never asked what it was like for her or Kathy either. Rick says there was enough, though we had no heat, and my first coat came when I lettered in track. Mom wanted cremation to be spread on the sea. When I threw her to the wind, she tasted of tree bark. Rick called me at work about Mom. We all met at Susie's. The preacher talked Jesus and fish oil. Mom was in a plastic bag in a shoebox. When it was over, we couldn't find her. Kathy had taken the ashes. Years later, I showed up at Kathy's door with a crowbar, but walked away and wrote a letter instead. That worked. Kathy gave up the ashes. Susie hired a boat and brought them. She and the captain prayed and shouted the whole trip. I was at work again when Rick called about Dad, this time with no plan. I asked him, please don't dump those ashes down a storm drain. We bought another plot, but not too close to Mom. She despised him longer than any of us could remember. No one showed up but me. The cemetery salesman put the ashes in the hole and closed the cover. I gave him 2 20s and asked, could we say Kaddish? Sure, he said, we have a minyan, and pointed to a funeral in progress. Her freshman year, Susie totaled the Corvair and my Lark too, drunk both times. Her first husband was a hillbilly. The second had been a junkie. Whenever I visited them, he changed the channel to a sermon. One time I picked up a toy car. He shouted, don't touch that, and snatched it out of my hand. It was part of his diorama of the current NASCAR standings. Rick called about Susie's memorial service, delayed a year for her preacher's return from China. Hearing she was gone like that, no goodbye, no chance. Each day, I walk through the sports complex from the VA lot to my office, broken concrete, rust-stained ponding. I walk lightly and keep to the shadows, slowing if someone is ahead so she won't fear the man hulking behind her. I love the implacable weight of concrete, the forming, the astringent smell and heat of it as it sets, the dead cold when it's cured. The foundation of our Florida house was a slab ground glass smooth and level before they laid the block walls, set the hand crank casement windows, and roofed it with concrete tiles. That terrazzo floor was perfect for shooting down army men with marbles and for growing up unheard and unseen. My second wife was often startled when I appeared till I began walking loudly, a choice so difficult that we both knew it for an act of love. That's invisible for Susie. Our shared humanities. Nothing is deadlier. Dogma. So beautiful. Courage. Riskier. Faith. Seductive. Privilege. More noble and just. War. More profane. Indifference. Crueler. God. No greater truth, kindness, nor greater lie, color. Nothing more human, discovery. That's our shared humanities. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here and for listening. I'll put a link in the chat so you can find more of my stuff if you're interested. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Much. I've created an environment for us this evening. And at the moment, it's wet with rain. And surprise, surprise, right? We're here in Washington, and that is what our spring has become, is very, very wet with rain. And over here, hanging in the apple tree, is a selection of poems that I've chosen for my reading tonight. And I thought maybe I would just pluck one off the tree and share it with you. So the first one is entitled Spring. Crisp blue days, do you remember? Fountains ring a vibrant timber, green leaves bound from still brown branches, springing toward the heat of the sun. Dive deep. Numbers. All we hear and say are numbers, as if quantifying a thing could qualify its effects. At the boiling point where solid becomes liquid, becomes gaseous, and rises as vapor, as something primordial, awaiting lightning strike, stirred from their slumber, amino acids in the broth expand to become what dared to exist. Oh baby, what you done to me. Between the meteoric hits were the shimmy and the shake and the ooh baby, yeah, that's it, right there, yeah, what you done to me. 'Cause you make me feel, yeah, you make me feel like a natural woman. The ocean longs for your return to the immeasurable, in realms wet and wordless, at a frequency of ineffable refrains to what qualifies. You make me feel so alive. Dive deep. Don, this one may speak to your realm of work. I have some history, which is why I feel it's actually quite serendipitous that Leopoldo put you and I together to co-feature. I think I was somehow slowly practicing life again on the process of rebuilding. Rebuilding a life after a traumatic brain injury is a process of one foot in front of the other, again and again and again. I may take small steps. I may step backwards some days, but every day I make the commitment to myself to keep moving forward. Robert Brault once said, an optimist is someone who figures that taking a step backward after taking a step forward is not a disaster, it's a cha-cha. Makes me laugh, reminds me to be gentle, to help those who can't help themselves, to lift the weight of suffering again and again and again. I'm gonna go for this one. If my body was a poem, if my body was a poem, it would be written by Rumi. His Sufic words would honor the love in my veins, follow the sinews of muscles with his pen, touching every memory they contain of skipping rope and skipping rocks, of the stirring beneath sheets on those pre-waking mornings when you just knew it had snowed in the night. Wake up, a magical world awaits you. If my body was a poem, the stanzas would dance on the page in dervish whirls, spinning, spinning, and spinning. Hands held aloft, gently framing the ethereal of what is, that is so often missed in these modern times, whispering notes of nothingness, cooing on each gyrating toe push, round and round and round. Wake up. A magical world awaits you. If my body was a poem, Shams would know the poet lover's devotion to him. This one's a bit different. How fun is that? Makes me stronger. My friend Scott here gave me the title. He helped me with that. Thank you, Scott. It's a long one. It wasn't the fetus that died before my birthday, the one that threatened to kill our mom in the Catholic hospital in Portland when they sped in, when the ones in habits wouldn't help her release it, spat, "It is against God's will." Dad was livid as her fever rose. If she had died, I would have missed my own conception, but 2 years later got to choose them as parents. It wasn't the crack of the baseball bat to my head as I tottered out the front door to meet my brother's proud backswing. "She'll be okay. He needs your help," Dad's baritone commanded pointedly to her, the kitchen towel on his lap reddening under one hand on my head as the other gripped the wheel steering us backwards out the drive. Stitches and a lollipop for bravery. I didn't drown after my little girlfriend and I promised her folks we would replace the cover so the fragrant pink manzanita blossoms wouldn't clog the trap. When she waved the tarp like a girl matador, as I, still in the water, spread it like a quilt, got stuck in the deep, and beneath it for many disoriented moments, my legs not yet grown long enough to push off the bottom. I didn't die of tetanus on the steep slope above St. Hilary's, where among cheers from friends, I sailed giddily skyward in the salty air rising up from Richardson Bay, crash landing in a swirl of brown dust through a web of rusty coils over the rim of the old trampoline, cut up under a canopy of gum trees and a blue as blue sky beyond skirting Mount Tamalpais, running home for betadine and hugs. As the trucks locked and a wheel came off the go-kart John and Dean had built by hand and I careened to the cement on Spanish Trail when it was my go, it actually wasn't. On the field trip to San Francisco Park, when the stranger asked me to follow him and I went, we sat on the grass talking. I think he was just lonely. When I joined the other second graders, we marched single file to sit indoors under the stars of the Morrison Planetarium. I idled fondly the daisy chain I'd made, searching for the stem the stranger split with his thumbnail before he clasped it on my small wrist, unharmed and smiling with the galaxies above. Roller skate and skateboard prangs yielded broken arms in plaster casts that were signed like guest books by visitors to Owie Town. Slow down, champ. Love you, Mom. Have a great summer. See you next fall. I survived a buck-naked dash from the tub, hell-bent on getting a toy from my room, dripping, tripping on the cord of a shadeless lamp, flesh from my back stuck to the exposed bulb, reeked to high heaven. Playing in the middle of 5th Street, I twisted my ankle and then watched a red line crawl its way up my leg. When my folks saw it, they once again sped me to the ER. I had surgery in the big city the next day. They bought me a book on mountaineering to give me hope. I didn't die by blood poison reaching my heart from a mystery infection. I wasn't killed in the ski accident when a skier emerged off a cat track and slammed me to the hard-packed snow, causing a brain injury. Subsequent tests revealed a hole in my heart since birth. Even heart surgery wasn't my last straw, nor the decade-and-a-half migraine, though to date, it's been the strongest contender. Defying death is an art I'm apparently pretty good at. So far, my survival rate's 100%. I wear my scars like peons to adventure and will live fully until the day I breathe no more, sweetly released from this mortal coil. You having fun yet? Am I good on time, Leopoldo? Okay. This one's called Move Beyond. Oh, wait, I read this. Read it, done. This one is for us poets. License and registration. Please say, ah. On the state's licensing website, sifting a list of professions, the standard headings that float in infrastructure, medical and dental, transportation, restaurant, engineer. There are also nail and hair techs, bail bonds, tattoo, body piercing, and body art. Where's the poet? Among the more obtuse are amusement ride inspectors, animal massage, artists, kickboxers, professional timekeepers, boxing, wrestling, and martial arts, trauma service designation. Where's the poet? Maybe a field so valuable is beyond taxation, something so potent, so necessary, undefinable and indefatigable, pen and pad at the ready. I can see it now at the accident site as EMTs triage the casualties. One might land a hot case of existential angst, eyes fixed on nothing, trying to make sense of everything. Vacant hands held aloft, fingers clench, miming around a phantom steering wheel. Where's the poet? The EMT calls out, poet, we need a poet here, stat. It's okay, we're here. Breathe, you're gonna be all right. Close your eyes, we have something to show you. Their fingers ease from clenching. It's going to take a team of us. Just listen, slowly. A team of us. You can't tax this. This one's about my father. Whew. Blonde behind blue eyes. Looking over Queen Anne at dawn towards my father's youth, I see his attempts to survive, a father set on family life, who welded his parameters on his young son's soul, twisting fortune over imagination, like the paper wire ties his mother wove around the cheese sandwich in his brown bag lunch. My father, a child of God, wanting only to be loved, be accepted, was instead met with blows for being different, unique, a freak, the only blue-eyed blonde boy in a sea of auburn locks, scalded by an exploded coffee urn, a last straw camel back-breaking mistake, relegated him as a youth to live at the family property at Agate Pass, where from atop a log, he watched US naval subs stream out Puget Sound to fight Hirohito's imperial expansion as his grandmother like the Queen Mum herself, manicured her rhododendrons in a baby blue housecoat. My grandfather wore a mustache like Hitler's. His presence loomed like a cloud of manipulations. I'm grateful I don't remember much else about him. My father didn't fail. His role models were bastards. He succeeded at being himself, a blue-eyed, blonde sheep in a brackish pasture, steering clear of the wolf pack convoy in Pacific waters. Whiskey, tango, foxtrot. Here's a small one. Donations. A giving heart. Heart of a lion. Lions share. Share and share alike. Like no other. Otherwise an eternal. Eternal spirit. Spirit of the giving heart. Donations. It hasn't been addressed yet tonight, but we all know of Uvalde. And I have dear friends who I visited in Uvalde a few years ago, stayed with them. Our hearts are definitely with them. And there's really not much to say. This one I call Homecoming. Subtitled, I will live this day as if I won't be shot by someone. I will live this day and not shoot anyone. I will live this day well, just, and kind. So when my night's sleep has ended and I, with another chance to awaken pre-dawn, will return to trim back maiden's blush lilacs, lending a series of waves at the minivan caravan sortie, as neighborhood moms and dads drive their wee daughters and sons to elementary. Their adult children drive themselves to college. They drive themselves to tall buildings or return to the roost for the day. Looking up from cutting back, brown euphorbia, hands protected from its toxic white sap, midday, I will wave as the broods redescend. Tail lights flicker off in the drives as tiny backpacks drop, swapped for basketballs. I will live this day as though all will return at their day's end. Blue popsicle sticks will drip in sticky hands before giddy bare feet run to glide again and again the length of a slip and slide. On a side yard, a dog will watch through a fence. Young laughs will echo over the street and anoint the hybrid tea roses in their buds, then move through the mighty ancient walnut to the young crabapple slowly growing to gift my gardening face its grin. Can you hear the baby blackcaps chickadee-dee-dees? They are just fledging the nest. They are just fledging the nest in the old birdhouse shaped like a church where the hummingbirds sip from dwarf-crested irises. As wind chimes jingle, gentle breezes mingle with the chorus of bells on bikes freshly freed from training wheels, sweet sounds waft amid bent branches of the contorted hazelnut as Cantonese soliloquies syncopate their rich tones. All that ever is was created in darkness. All that grows does so by moving towards the light. Let us rise together in all the numinous spaces, knowing the chickadees will return next spring to begin the cycle again. And in the background here is a shell kind of wind feature that my girlfriend in Australia made for me many, many years ago. And the bird feeder up here where the chickadees, the chickadee-dee-dees have been visiting. Taking my time. Where I am is a far cry from where I was. I still have a long way to go to be who I long to be. Last one. Perfectly imperfect. We plod the path of knowledge through fields of the unknown, hiking over regrets and loss, stopping at alpine lakes to skip our questions on cool, still waters, finding answers along the surface in transient shadowed ripples. What is the tear weight of a human before the packs of all that is unseen are hitched to back, balanced on hip? One must choose with precise hands what to take for a journey. Steps we take towards the within cannot be measured on Fitbits. Apple Watches cannot graph the moments that take our breath away. Tug the surface back slightly of flesh and muscle to reveal the deep rhythms of a chorus of communal heartbeats over 8 billion strangers strong. So many faces unlike our own. These steps we take to move beyond ourselves, to forge deeper relationships, to connect with one another. To make a human being, first, we must forget ourselves. Thank you ever so much.
Well,
Okay, so I had a series of poems under the, all about mental illness. So this is one more in the same series. Okay. It's titled The Darkling Mind. Darkling Mind. The medication was still an experiment. The mind ebbed, confused, flowed clear, fluent. Hunger caused the ebbing, the flow restored by surfeit. The mind's gradual, palpable fading, an amber alert. Set out early to walk to two goes. Eat healthy. Met a dog, became embarrassingly friendly, squatted down, got licked thoroughly. Its owner was a friendly sort, luckily. Time was lost in this wanton dallying. Drove the car, but the mind began reeling. Couldn't turn left. Focus was fleeing. Couldn't risk green light waiting. Turned into the first parking lot on the right. Noted the karate studio near my car spot. Crossed Clark, walked down the street towards Togo's for a sandwich to eat. Mind waned, but discretion barely ruled. Passing a Carl's Jr., go eat, it said. Went in, their biggest burger consumed. Relish, hunger assuaged, mind restored. Walking back, finding car, turning left were each a normal, easy feat. Still such venture I would not repeat till darkling mind psychiatrist did further treat.
Enjoyed everything. Was an Uber driver, and I kept a kind of a running tab of my rides. And so I have a series of Uber prose. This one's called What Happens in Vegas. My rider flew down the steps, his body taut and lanky, bicep muscles poking out from below the sleeves of his t-shirt. Obviously, he wasn't Margie, the name on my Uber ping. He slid into the shotgun seat and pulled a bottle of Bud Light from his backpack. My best mother voice came out. You're not going to open that, are you? I would dream of it, dearie. Spoil such a lovely, lovely, lovely Uber lady. Why would I? See, it's between me legs, it is, safe and sound. Why would you worry? Oh, there are many ways to answer that, but I never got the chance. My name's Kai from Sydney. You know Sydney? Of course you do. I'm on a quest, my dear, a quest to capture the woman of my dreams. Said woman he was talking about was 25 miles north of the coast, deep within the bowels of Coto de Caza, through the portals of Aliso Viejo, an address on Shady Hollow Lane. Shady Hollow Lane, straight out of Brothers Grimm, I say. Ever heard of it, Shady Lane? My princess in a tower and me, a professional personal trainer. It was fate that I would train to gain the strength to climb to rescue her. Did I tell you I'm an actor? People don't believe me, but I'd rather famous in Australia. My name is Kai. My day job's a personal trainer. He took a breath. Before I could ask him how his name was spelled or what TV shows he's been on, enough so that the folks don't leave me alone on the streets of Sydney, he started speaking again. Later, I Googled Australian actor Kai. Nothing. A couple of references to a TV series from 1999. So unless he had discovered the Fountain of Youth, my passenger was a bit south of the truth. GPS found Shady Hollow. As I turned the corner, I asked him where he had met this princess, the woman of his dreams, the one he was going to marry. Las Vegas, 3 days ago. Did I tell you that she's the most beautiful woman in the world? I stopped the car at the bottom of the steps. He peered up through thick bougainvillea as if tuning his X-ray vision. He slowly opened the car door, inhaled deeply as if he were about to dive to the bottom of the Great Barrier Reef, then turned back toward me and raised the beer bottle into the air. A toast. Here's to you, Uber lady. Good day, good day. He took the steps 2 at a time up to the condo's front door, like a helicopter parent lingering outside the gym after delivering her son to the prom. I longed to stay, become that fly on the wall or moth in the bougainvillea to see what would happen. But my next Uber pinged. I had another fare. I like to imagine that Kai and his princess flew back to Sydney, their bottles of Bud Light gently vibrating side by side in sync with the plane's jet engines. Maybe once, just once, what happened in Vegas didn't stay in Vegas.
Wow, thank you, Jean. And Alex.
So you want me to take you out with harmonica? I can't hear you.
Muted. I said figuratively speaking, not literal.
Because I had a little harmonica piece planned for you.
Oh, you did? All right, then. See, I mean,
I can do both, you know, but because I got that, you know, I saw your message that you had COVID and I felt bad and I felt for you and then, but I didn't do anything about it. I didn't send you any messages or anything. I just felt, you know, maybe you felt my feeling, but probably not. Other people sent you condolences.
Yeah.
And good, kind words. And so I need to have a makeup, kind of like middle school. So this is my makeup to for you feeling so bad. So I'm so sorry you're feeling bad. Feeling bad. Feeling bad. I'm so sorry you've been feeling bad, but I hope you're feeling better. Hope you're feeling better. Sorry you're feeling bad, but I hope you're feeling better. What can make you feel better than a little improv harmonica, right? So I also have one piece, if you'll indulge me. That's actually two that I'm jamming together, a love poem called Love Fall. So I have fallen once more, this time into a deep chasm. As I was puttering around the edge, inspecting succulents that lined a seductive little path, fingering the soft lips, impossibly moist yet dry, I had plucked one and my footing collapsed underneath me, and so I tumble, even as I roll the succulent slowly between thumb and forefinger. Its green shifts to turquoise and back again. I press it slowly to my lips. A gush of tart, sweet, something else I cannot place fills my chest. All time stands still. She says she loves me unreasonably, desperately. She thinks of me all the time, lets me know these things she can't get enough. She says I may get tired of her, send her away. What then? I think of her all the time.